All right, hello and welcome to the Bryan Hartson Show. I am turning this over to Adam, and Adam, this is your show today. Take her away.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Good to see you, Bryan. And I like that this might be an impromptu podcast. It might be. We didn't really plan or prepare much, but I can tell you've got good energy, and I'm happy to connect. So, yeah, thank you so much. I'm Adam Chaka, and let's first just share our connection. But because did we connect through? I'm in a few different Facebook groups, and are you in the Travis Chappell podcast
I am
group?
in the Travis. Yes, that is exactly how we connected. I've got several connections through that group. Awesome group. I think not only is he a great guy for having a business that's getting things done, but he's leaving it to us little guys to be able to chit chat with each other, which is an awful lot of fun.
It is, yes. And I am happy to be in that group because, I met Travis in person at his very first networking event back in 2019, and out in Vegas, Build Your Network. And, when you meet somebody in person, and I feel like a founding member of that group. So it's so great to keep going with it. And I don't know how long you've been in the group. It's because it's all about podcasting now. But when he started it, it was just about networking. So it was really cool. We had people from so many different industries, sort of cross networking from real estate, medical, and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't been with him very long at all. Matter of fact, this would be probably working on about 30 to 45 days. It was one of those things that just sort of popped up as I was surfing through my wonderful little Facebook page that we all do throughout the day. And there it was. And I clicked on the little link and decided to spend some time watching his video. And he had the offer to jump on. So I did so.
Excellent. Very cool. And so are we live streaming today? How are we presenting this to the world?
Oh, that's a great question. We are live streaming. Today we are on Facebook. We are on YouTube, and we are on Twitter live as we speak right now.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. So that's how with StreamYard, you're able to do that.
Yeah. Also, we do have LinkedIn that we can stream in as well, but I've held back just a little bit on that for about another week before I go live with that. But Facebook has been great to me. Twitter drops down right away. YouTube will show up, but it's probably about 30, 45 minutes later that you'll be able to see it actually on the webpage. Although you're able to search it real quick and it'll pop back up.
Wow, excellent.
And I apologize, Adam, for the noise in the background. We've got the neighbors and yada da that are out and about. So it's live broadcasting, my friend.
It is. No worries. Yes, what's so cool about doing these kinds of things and going live on social media or podcasting and, sharing content is that we're sharing our lives. And, this is the first time you and I are speaking, and we met through that good group. And you left a positive message, and I could tell you had a good mindset. And I like reaching out to people with that good kind of thinking. And, you don't know my full story, so I'm so happy to share a bit of it with you. I'm a two-time author. My first book was on my midlife crisis and personal transformation. Thanks to Wayne Dyer. Do you know the name Dr. Wayne Dyer?
I don't, but tell me.
So I credit him with saving my life. It was 5 years ago. I was 39. Almost 40 years old, and I'm a teacher. So I was in my classroom, and I was a drunk, an alcoholic, needed to get sober. And I wasn't drunk in the classroom, but when I was, during the school day, after the students would leave, I'd be in tears, driving home 3 days a week in tears. I was suicidal at one point, and I was dealing with anxiety and depression. And it was, powerful. I know a lot of drunks hit rock bottom and they can lose everything, the house, they lose the family, the wife, the job. And, so it's a very sad story for many. I was blessed not to lose the job and the wife and children, but I yeah, I got to a real, point with like big existential questions, like what am I going to do with my life? And so the good news is I got sober, and then I went through a wonderful personal transformation where I discovered my soul, my spirit within, and yeah, I started meditating every day and doing yoga 3 times a week, and so it's so wonderful. I'm a new man. Thank you.
That is a great story. So I take it that it was something that was hitting you for quite some time, and then there was something that went, you had your aha moment.
Yes, and so I can actually share, though, the sort of bigger story is my second book. During that midlife crisis and personal transformation, I also discovered a life purpose, and so that's what I'm working on right now. The short story,
your second book, or just
the second book is explaining the business, the vision plan I have. So I've started a new good company organization with some big goals and a grand mission to support thousands of Black and brown girls, young women of color. Yes. And so underprivileged kids, young people of color. I'm building dance studios and it's kind of like YMCA enrichment programs after school.
Yeah.
And so and I didn't think it was going to be a book. These were just like business plans I had been writing for the last 5 years. And it was only a couple months ago that I had the epiphany just to put it out there, because the dream got so big and so beautiful that I realized I need some help, and I got to build a big team to make it happen. So yeah, it all started in 2015, January, a couple months after Mike Brown fatally shot and killed in Ferguson, Missouri. Mm-hmm. We all remember Ferguson, and I was really upset about racism, and I had for quite some time. I've been a student of African American history since college, so 25 years. It was my minor in college, and I feel quite connected to history. I've thought on many occasions like what it must have been like for an enslaved person, let's say in Georgia in 1724, and the violence is so upsetting and so disturbing. Lynching, beating, rape, murder, teeth getting knocked out, families getting ripped apart. It's so disturbing that I can only think of it for like a minute, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even want to go there. And it's just I felt very connected to history, and then all through, like, even if you go past the 300-year story of slavery in North America and you get to like the 1900s and the Great Migration, I perfectly understand why millions of Black people wanted to move out of the South and head north to cities like Chicago and Detroit to get away from the oppression and violence. And and then the 1900s is one big long story of lack of opportunity into education, lack of opportunity into employment. And I have felt strongly for a long time that America needs to do more to help, people, our Black and brown communities, and those classic urban issues that, people are going through, like poverty and crime and drugs and these things that plague big cities. Sure. So I at first I thought I was going to build a school, and but then I realized there are schools everywhere. They're not good everywhere, but and then I was going to build a music center with like free trumpets and trombones, again, like inner city youth, young people of color. And but it was interesting how my wife, I can share, is from West Africa, and so our 2 boys are biracial, and they love their sports, and we're outside of Boston, and we're in the suburbs. So when they would play soccer, basketball, they would play youth sports against teams with a lot of little white boys. Okay, no big deal. But when my older kiddo was about 10 years old, we started doing AAU basketball. Are you familiar with AAU basketball?
I am not.
And so it's kind of like club sports. It's a little more money, and it's a season, and you play tournaments in the nearest big cities. And so we'd go into Boston. Anyways, it was the first time in my life as a white man that I got to see a youth basketball team with like 13 Black and brown boys. And I thought, fantastic, wonderful. The uniforms looked amazing. They had like 4 coaches, well organized. I saw the same thing in Pop Warner football. Around here, we would play teams with like 45 little white boys. Okay, fine. It's the suburbs, no big deal. But sometimes we'd play a town near Boston, and I got to see a youth football team with like 47 Black and brown boys. Mm-hmm. And again, wonderful. It was, enrichment. They got like 10 coaches. The uniforms looked awesome, well organized. And I realized it was helping these boys become young men, because you're getting personal development, you're getting character development. Pay attention. You got to block for Jimmy, then you cut left, and so it was really cool to see these opportunities for young people of color in Boston. But I kept thinking, okay, this is cool, but what about for the girls? What do we have for Black and brown girls, young women of color in Boston? And so this time I discovered the popularity of hip hop dance. Hip hop dance is, of course, on reality TV and Netflix documentaries. And so I searched all around the Boston area and did research. And I found about 22, 23 dance studios out in the suburbs. And of course, it's the suburbs. So I'd walk in and it's like 100 little white girls doing ballet. And okay, fine. It's a dance studio. It's in operation. Very good. The moms and dads pay. And I thought, do we have this in Boston for our Black and brown neighborhoods? And I drove in, all before COVID, by the way. And I found 4 or 5 dance studios. As you know, with a smartphone, you can just put it in and drive to a location, right? Mm-hmm. So I drive there, and these dance studios were shut down, went out of business. So it was like I realized
before COVID.
Yeah, before COVID. So I realized I did find 2, but they were really small. It was nothing like the robust programming I had seen on reality TV. It's a big thing in the South at many HBCUs, at historically Black colleges and universities. We see the marching bands and the cheer squad and the dance teams. And so I just realized, I'm like, wow, so we don't have the same opportunities for Black and brown girls here in Boston. Of course, girls can do basketball and soccer, but I started to study the American culture, and I realized, that most parents of boys still encourage baseball, soccer, football, sports. Mm-hmm. And most parents of girls still, in general, encourage cheer, gymnastics, and dance. So it was a realization like, okay, why fight the culture? I'll work with the culture. Okay, fine. So I realized I could build a dance studio here in Boston. And not like in the downtown with the skyscrapers, but it has to be like in our Black and brown neighborhoods. And anyways, the vision grew and grew. And so it's all in my second book. I'm building 14 dance studios in 14 major American cities. Yes, Boston, New York, Philly, DC, Baltimore, Atlanta, Charlotte, up to Chicago and Detroit, over to LA, back to Houston, Memphis, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama, and Jackson, Mississippi. So
wow.
And so it's really cool. But, as a white man entering this space, I know that I have to be brave and confident, because I honestly believe it's a special mission from God. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool. So it's not really me doing it. It's like God coming through me. And same thing with the books. I can't really take credit for the books. I just feel like a vessel, like an instrument.
Sure. Yeah, I think he works through us through what he decides he wants us to do when he wants us to do it. I'm in Numbers right now, reading through Numbers, and so I understand what you're talking about there. I think it's interesting you're talking about. I come from a mixed family, if you will, as well. My daughter has a daughter herself, so I've got my first grandchild, and she's a mix, and so we're learning through the process of that. And it's interesting you bring up the deficits that there are. Certainly, it's tough in certain areas. I think there's overprivilege in some areas, and there's underprivilege in other areas. So, what you're doing, I think, is pretty cool for the areas that actually need that help. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you. And I realized now I forgot one little nugget of that story I do love to share is that, so back in 2015, seeing Ferguson, Missouri, and, upset about racism in America and injustice. And so I looked up to God. I was in tears one day, and I asked God a really big question. And I said to God, can I end racism in America? Like, use me, God. And I said, use me. And I had been saying this prayer since I was about 13 or 14, which I think is really cool. Like, how many teenage boys get to say, use me to God? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. maybe you have some big project for me, but feel free to use me. I'd love, I would love to be a ready, willing volunteer, able. And now, of course, in all honesty, so can I end racism in America? Well, no, probably, one person can't. I understand it's too big, it's systemic and structural, and it's through every tier of society, and, it lives on in the minds of millions. So I thought, right from the start, I thought part of my journey has to be like, how do I continue to educate or inspire like fellow white people to keep challenging your own thinking or question your own psychology, and, peeling back the layers of the onion that is the subconscious. How do we grow and change? It's about really, growing and changing. So anyways, it's all in my second book. And I've been, with the power of Instagram, I realized that I could start DMing celebrities. And so I started on January 1st, DMing Rihanna, J-Lo, Beyonce, Lil' Kim, Oprah. And I realized, it's hard to cut through these DMs, like Rihanna and J-Lo. I'm sure they get hundreds of DMs every day. They're not checking, so
What's the name of the book?
Thank you. The first book on me getting sober and helping others to get sober and overcome anxiety and depression was 50 Days to a Better Life. And the second book on the dance studios is 50 Days to a Better Investment. So those are the two books. Yes, thank you. And so I realized I could keep, reaching out, and I feel like, if I could network with Instagram bloggers and influencers and keep doing like Instagram Live and Facebook Live like we're doing today, and I just keep talking about the mission, that I feel like eventually someone watching is going to have a connection, and they say something like, oh, my aunt is Patti LaBelle. Patti would love this. And suddenly I'm on the phone with Patti LaBelle. Or somebody watching says, oh, my mom went to high school with Gladys Knight. Gladys would love this. And suddenly I'm on the phone with Gladys Knight or Will Smith or Jada Pinkett Smith. And they say, yes, Adam, love it. Yes, yes, yes. Here's a check for $4 million. Let's do this. So I'm believing the universe.
Pretty nice now, wouldn't it? Now, the name of your second book is 50 Days to a Better what?
Investment.
All right.
Oh, thank you. I see you're putting it up there on the screen. Thank you.
There you go.
Awesome.
And boom, there you have it. So 50 Days to a Better Life, which is probably the most important book in your entire life, right there. And then 50 Days to a Better Investment falls in second, I think. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I certainly needed to. Yes, I needed to get sober and have that personal transformation. So, yeah, I just feel, so blessed and so honored. And just to give you, if for a listeners or folks in your network would hear the comparison, going back 5 years to when I was a drunk and totally stressed out, and I was coming into work each day, stress level 9 or 10, like totally stressed out, and driving home 3 days a week for years, and now I'm not. I'm at stress level 0. I wake up each day inspired and excited, and it's awesome. I'm on a mission, I've been blessed with a life purpose. So thank you so much.
So what are you doing now?
Right. So I am doing almost every day. I'm doing Instagram Live with a new person. So that plan I talked about getting it out there. I'm appearing on podcasts, and soon I'm going to be expanding my book tour to do like TV morning talk shows. And I wasn't sure I think I lost your window there. I can keep talking, but good, you're fine. Good. So I'll explain that.
This.
Okay. As long as you can hear me,
I'm good. Yeah.
So I will. So I did a nationwide book tour for my first book. I didn't explain that. I bought a van and I drove across America. So I appeared on TV morning talk shows, but it's hard to get on Good Morning America. So I got on smaller markets like Good Morning Memphis and Good Morning Baton Rouge and Palm Springs, California, and Augusta, Georgia, and so that was fun. So I'm going to do that again this summer for the second book. So a book tour, maybe not nationwide, but I'll go up and down the East Coast. I'm a school teacher, so I'm very lucky to be able to, have the summer off to go and do this publicity for the books.
What are you teaching now?
So yeah, that's my day job. I'm a high school teacher, ESL, English as a second language.
Okay.
So, right. So I get the new student from India, China, Africa, Brazil.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
And I forgot to ask where you are in the country. I'm in Boston, Mass. Where are you?
I am in California over by Disneyland, just about 20 minutes away out in Corona. So as you make your book tour out in this direction, out to LA Orange County area, make sure you bop on over and say hello to me. We'll have a nice cup of coffee together or what have you.
Okay, excellent. What was the name of the city?
Corona.
Okay, cool.
Sort of like the beer. Unfortunately for you, it is the beer Corona. Even though it's not manufactured here, we'll take our cup of coffee and our Earl Grey. I like my Earl Grey tea. That's my voice in now.
That's great. And then, so I've got to run soon, but tell me about your how you got going with your podcast. I just talked to Earl yesterday. I know you spoke recently with Earl Gleason, and
yes.
So, when did you get rolling with your podcast?
Actually, my broadcasting career started about 1985, and I got an FCC license back then. You don't need it any longer, but I got my FCC license, went through schooling for broadcasting, and started my shows back then. KEZY out here in California was one of the good shows out here, if you will, and Andy Stevens was the personality out there, took me under his wing. So we did that for a while. And then I went into the real world and started actually working and building businesses. So I was a part of the Keep Your Home California movement out here, which had $2 billion to help struggling homeowners keep their home. And so we gave that away, and then that went away as well. I built a couple other companies as well. So in early retirement, here I am doing what I loved to do, and firing it back up. So we are in our first relaunch season. We have some pretty cool stuff out here. We've got some mugs. We got some T-shirts. Hold on a second, if I can real quick pop this up for you. I might as well plug myself. Bum bum bum. Where am I? Here we go. This bad boy right down there at the bottom. So if you pop on over to my website there, Bryan Hartson, Hartson's Heart. Hartson's Heart is what I started off with. It's what I want to talk about, whatever's on my heart. And so down towards the bottom, there's a link to buy some T-shirts, some hats, some mugs. I love my Earl Grey mug. And so that's where I'm at right now. Just enjoying life, loving life.
That's excellent. Well, Pete, later today, I'd like to throw up a post on my social media. Can you smile for a picture? Hey, that's great. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Well, this was a pleasure connecting with you. I'm so glad we got to go live. It's like excellent. Yeah, let's make the most of it.
Absolutely. As you do your tour, let me know. Maybe we can do some videoing of your tour. We can pop up some of that on the live videos as we do here, as well as have some conversations. I think it'd be a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of fun just to tour with you.
That's very kind of you to say. I don't know if I'm going to make it to California. I was thinking with the wife and our older teenager with college plans. I was thinking about how can I include like college campus visits. So I think I'm doing
That's always a good one.
But thank you. And
well, we'll figure it out. I'm glad to be able to spend time with you today, and hopefully we'll pop on over together and do it again.
Yeah, excellent. We'll connect again. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
See you, Bryan.
All right. Bye-bye.